have just 3 months to go to the elections in Nigeria, and February 25th is not going to come easy because we have three main contenders to the presidential seat. They are Tinubu, which you all know. We also know Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. Well, this our show, Nigeria Election Desk, is going to bring you all the updates from Nigeria and also prepare you towards the issues that are being discussed in the country. This is Africa Web. This is My Nigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome from the break. This is Election Desk on My Nigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and we are going to Oshogbo in Osun State to speak with our correspondent. He's called Francis Ikemefune, and he's going to give us updates on the election process and also all the things that are happening in Nigeria. Hello, Francis. How is the country going? How is the temperature like? Is it 16 degrees or is above 30 degrees?
The mood is expectant. Nigerians are already in the fever. We are getting set for the election come February 2023, and activities are on. Today, the APC presidential candidate is in Jos. They are starting the presidential campaign from there. They are there. Most of them, APC governors, the president and the vice, the presidential candidate, they are there. Apart from that, Oshun being an APC state, even though there will be a change of baton, a change of government from APC to PDP at the end of this month, the mood is high, either from the APC and from the PDP. The mood is high, preparations are on, all parties are putting hands on deck for a successful election and come next year. The atmosphere is we are in election fever in Nigeria.
Okay. And mentally, do you think Nigerians are prepared to vote if the elections were supposed to be held today?
Yeah, Nigerians are prepared to vote. If the election is to be held today, Nigerians are 100% set to vote. The electoral umpire is set, even though they are still putting one or two things in place. There's a law. There's a law on ground, the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. There's the introduction of BVAT. There's electronic transmission of results, not electronic voting. We have not gotten to that stage yet, but there's electronic transfer of election results from the polling units to the INEC server, and there's introduction of BVAT where you will come, the machine will verify you if you are being registered, and if you are registered, you will now go on to vote. But if you're not, if the machine does not verify you, you will not be able to vote. And with the introduction of the BVAT, the chances of all these politicians engaging in rigging, violence, is has been reduced to the barest minimum. And
Okay.
Nigerians,
Yeah.
we've all registered. INEC has commenced a voter verification exercise since I think since Saturday for eligible voters to go and cross-check their data. If there's any error, now is the time to correct it before the election next week.
Okay. So there's the talk of the documentary which was released by David Onde on Ahmed Bola Tinubu concerning his allegations of drug trafficking and also being the bagman for some heroin traffickers in the early 90s. Has this affected the electoral process, and what is the reaction of the people right now concerning that piece of information that's out there?
Right now, let me answer the question from this angle. The electorate in Nigeria, we are polarized into, I would say, the older generation and the young generation, the younger intellect savvy citizen generation. The older generation, they are more concerned with which party does this person belong to, or the individual. Once if they say which party, APC, okay, it's APC I want to vote for. I want to vote for Bola Tinubu. They will say, okay, Bola Tinubu. They don't want to know whatever crime he has, alleged crime, whatever he has been allegedly involved in his past. All they know is this person is who we want to vote for. But the younger electorate, the tech savvy ones, they have the information. They can look up the information on the internet. They have means of getting the information via the traditional media and the social media or the new media, as we call it. So there's a polarization and there's an anger. There's an anger. Anger is in the air. A carryover from the NSAS protest of October 2020. There's anger because the national grid has collapsed severally this year. There's anger because the price of foodstuff has gone up exponentially. There's anger because the naira is not doing well with the dollar and other currencies. So there is anger. They are the ones that will receive out this information and they will make up their mind. Okay, I'm not going to vote for so person. This person I want to vote for. But the APC information machinery, they've gone to town, despite the fact that before now we've been hearing such information that Susu presidential candidates had been involved in this volatile as the president had been involved, was a drug baron, was a this, was a that. The information was in the public space. And because he decided to contest to vie for the position, it's now that the information is even getting stronger. The information has been there. So he has
Okay.
the information machinery of the party has been doing everything possible to quell
Okay.
that. But it's like this. It's like this. The allegation is there. Is there. Despite the fact that they're making noise about it, that it's not a crime, but the allegation is there.
Okay.
Notwithstanding, people that will vote for him will vote for him. People that will not vote for him will not.
Okay, and you talked about anger, and there's already an INEC statement which is telling supporters of Peter Obi to calm down. Obi himself has come out to tell them to calm down and also allow the process to work and not abuse people. There's a lot of young people online who are also very abusive against people who do not support Peter Obi. How serious
Mm.
is this currently?
Mm. The Peter Obi thing is a phenomenon. Nobody planned for it. Even the Peter Obi himself, I'm sure he did not plan for it. Because there's this aspect of social media, they call them the obedience. There are this aspect they call them the obedience, you know. But if you look at the Peter Obi phenomenon, like I said, there's an anger in the air, a transfer of aggression from the NSAS protest of 2 years ago. Most of these people that were involved in that protest, they pitched their tent for Peter Obi and the Labour Party. They say
Yeah.
the APC, they are recycling old politicians that Tinubu has been in the system for years, for more than 20 years. You see, Atiku Abubakar, he has been in the system for more than 20 years. That these people don't have anything to offer. That's on the other hand. But you see what is happening to Peter Obi and his supporters. Really, they've not been any violent demonstration whenever Peter Obi is holding a rally. It's just an apprehension, you know, because most of the supporters of Peter Obi, they are the youths, they are the opposing mobile, they are the angry ones, they are the ones that the NSAS protest, what they aim to achieve, they could not achieve. Even when the government set up panel of inquiry, they could not really achieve it. They are the ones that are putting they are solidly behind the personnel of Peter Obi and the Labour Party. They don't want to know whichever party he belongs to. They are just seeing him as he's different, he's a third force. He's not in the APC, he's not in the PDP. So probably that is the apprehension that INEC want to curb and to curtail. But really,
Okay.
they there has not been any protest, any violence whenever Peter Obi is holding his rally. None.
Okay. And finally, we also got the news that Bola Tinubu does not want to be part of any town hall meeting or presidential debate, and he would do that when he wants to. This is from Fani Kayode, and uh,
Yeah, yeah.
is it something related to his health, or it has to do with the heckling that was happening? Because Fanny Kayode was also referring to heckling, and that there's a difference between presidential debate and also town hall meeting, and they need to know which one they are attending.
In Nigeria, there are some people that when they speak, Nigerians tend to ignore them. When they talk, Nigerians tend to ignore them.
Yeah.
Femi Fanika already falls into the category of
Yeah.
Nigerians that when they talk, the populace will just ignore them.
Mm.
They don't take them serious because it's a Syria they can pick. That is for him. You see the
Okay.
issue of Bola Tinubu not appearing in any town hall meeting or
Yeah.
presidential debate. I think he's taking Nigerians for granted.
Mm.
Though no law, no law makes it compulsory for him to appear before a town hall meeting or a presidential debate to talk to the people. But for the sake of we want to meet these people one on one, what do you have for us? What do you have for us? This is what we want for you. Can you give us this? It's not the issue of manifesto. Nigerians are tired of listening and reading and hearing from politicians telling us about their manifesto. When they get to office, they will not, none of them, will not bring any of them to pass. We want to hear you speak. Tell us what you want to do, and we'll hold you accountable through what you say.
Okay.
So I see it's not appearing before any presidential candidate, presidential debate or town hall meeting as being arrogant. Though no law makes it compulsory for him to appear before any. It has become a norm for public office aspirants to come before the people and lay out their plans. People will get to see them and talk to them and hear them and see them. He too will feel the pulse of the people. But so he not doing it, I wouldn't know why. For me, I feel he's taking Nigerians for a ride.
Okay. Thank you very much, Francis. We'll talk to you again next week on the happenings and the things that are going on in Nigeria towards the election.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
That was some great insight from Nigeria. And thank you very much, Francis Ikemefune from Oshogbo in Osun State. We'll be coming back into the studio to discuss some of the topical issues that Francis brought up. This is the election desk on My Nigeria, and we are going to talk about some of the things that are happening, including the accusation that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is or has been indicted on some drug charges in the US. The documentary is going far, and we need to look at it and see if indeed it's something we should worry about or the country shouldn't worry about it and move on. There are so many other topics to discuss. This is the election desk on My Nigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe. We'll be right back to introduce our guest and also to delve into the discussions. Welcome back from the break. This is the election desk on My Nigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and our guests are seated and ready to dissect the issues that we have on board today. On my right is Alpha Shaban. He is a political analyst and somebody who knows a lot about Nigeria. He works with the Africa Web Group. And on my left, we have Adiola Babatunde, and he is also an editor with My Nigeria. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, let me start with Adiola. How did you feel when you heard about the Tinubu incident concerning the whole drug trafficking allegations and then the heroin issues and him being the bag man for a cartel in US in Chicago? How did you feel about it?
Well, I think that stuff like this are normal, seeing that we are in an election period. Your opponent, that's the PDP and the Labour Party and every other, who would more or less try to discredit a candidate of the ruling party, not just any candidate. And this is somebody who has actually done well for Nigeria, actually done well for the state, contributed a lot for the state. So I'm not surprised. And these are one of those things that we should expect from the political season.
Well, this is somebody who has a lot of money, and there are so many accusations, allegations around money and how he made money as an accountant and all of that. Isn't this something that might affect his chances in the elections?
No, for Nigeria, I don't think Nigerians pay attention to stuff like this. Within the Nigerian political space, we have different blocks. And the blocks consist of APC and PDP, who, irrespective of what happens to their candidates or what people say about their candidates, they are not moved. So whether this will affect his chances, I don't think so. The Nigerian democracy, if I should say, has not really grown past partisanship, if I should say. So the moment somebody is brought up into this particular political ideology, it's quite difficult to tilt them away from there. So I expect that, nothing is going to change irrespective of what's happening.
Well, let me go to Alpha Shaban. We need to delve deep into this issue, and the way the documents came out, the way the court documents came out, the way responses have been coming back and forth, and also the way the party, that's the All Progressives Congress, came out to discredit the video even before it was put out. So many people were told to write to YouTube to stop David Hunduin from airing the video. With all these activities around it, did you feel there was some bit of truth in there? Do you think it's something that was really a stain on the candidature of Tinubu?
Okay, so thank you. What I would just like us to go back a little bit. This is the dirty season in Nigeria because it's election time. There are votes at stake. People are fighting tooth and nail to ensure that they get their blocks in shape so that the elections can be secured. And for a country that in 2015, for instance, had a Buhari who was contesting an incumbent, and the biggest scandal against Buhari at the time was that he didn't have a YX certificate. But Buhari's contested and won. Do you know when his fire certificate came out? In 2019, when he was going to seek re-election. That is when that certificate that was missing in 2015 popped up. So it's typical Nigerian political season. There is debt being thrown at anybody. If it sticks, it's fine. If it doesn't stick, we still move on. So these drug charges or indictment issues have come strong and hard at the Tinubu character. And if you look at Tinubu, he has never addressed it himself. He has this wall that has been built around him, so he is secured of himself. So his spokesman is the one who is taking all the flack. He's explaining everything away. And one good thing that is helping Tinubu is the incumbency factor. Tinubu belongs to the ruling party. You don't expect the ruling party candidate to have a crisis that would overshadow their campaign. It's not possible. They have incumbency. So if you realize, one of the biggest things that happened was when a fake document came out that the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, was after him. What happened? INEC issued a swift disclaimer. We don't know anything about it. It is fake. And then they rubbished it. So it is now the word of the journalist, David Hundeyin, against the word of the APC.
Are you saying INEC was very quick because Tinubu belongs to APC?
INEC was quick because, one, Tinubu is a major political player. So they need to address issues relating to him. If it was a smaller candidate, I'm sure they wouldn't have.
They will be unfair in that instance.
Yes, it happens.
Well,
in
this is quite
it does happen
big
in Nigerian politics. Incumbency
insinuation, though. I think it's an insinuation against INEC because if you say INEC couldn't respond quickly because the person belongs to a different party,
yes,
I mean that's unfair.
But there's precedent in Nigeria. All of these things happen. INEC was quiet when Buhari didn't have a certificate. They never spoke about it. When it came up, there was a fanfare.
Can you compare having certificates and also a drug charge?
But the drug charge has not been he has not been indicted in Nigeria. It's a charge from outside the country, and you need that collaboration. The Americans haven't written to anybody in Nigeria. This is a journalist who is after Tinubu. So that is where it ends, actually. So for me, I think that the Tinubu character doesn't feel the heat, but his henchmen are doing all the dirty job for him. So I think he's fairly okay. And in Nigeria, like he said, those who vote for Tinubu have made up their minds. Those who vote for Atiku have made up their minds. So it's almost as if you are looking for people who are already looking for something against him to throw more dust at him. And I think that's where it ends.
Now, the issue of fake news, because the INEC response, you could see that it's something that they were really against that fake press release, because it dents their credibility and also their image with some of these things that you are saying about how they quickly responded. Isn't it something that they really wanted to do against the fake news going around, rather than trying to please the incumbent party? I want to take this from Baba today.
I think that like Shaban said, Bola Tinubu is part of the ruling government, which means that most of the government agencies are under him. I remember in 2019 or so, the EFCC were actually attempting to investigate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Unfortunately, because of this same government in power, the case had to be dropped. And for stuff like this, obviously, if INEC decides to investigate him, or if EFCC decides to investigate him on a matter like this, it would definitely affect him, and it's more or less like you're painting his campaign with a black brush, which would definitely affect him. So the best thing they had to do was just to ensure that they more or less sweep the so-called allegation under the carpet and make sure that, okay, I mean, Tinubu is clean. Tinubu is not a drug lord. We are not investigating him. The EFCC also issued a statement that they were not going to investigate him. Even if they were going to investigate Tinubu, it will most definitely affect the 2023 election, seeing that it's too close. And if they start to investigate him, there's the tendency of there being a court case will come into the picture. And the moment a court case comes into the picture, most likely elections will not hold in February, and probably that is what they are trying to avoid, in terms of they issuing a disclaimer that the statement is untrue, or EFCC saying that they were not going to investigate the matter. They're trying to avoid the situation where Nigeria goes into that uncertainty. And now in the Nigerian system, there's too much uncertainty to add this, So probably is for the greater good that indeed they just came out to do what they did.
And if I may add, EFCC, INEC, most of them take orders from the villa.
True.
It must be clear that go ahead with this investigation. True. That is why Buhari orders that drop this investigation against this person, and they do. So in the previous EFCC chairman's era, Ibrahim Magu dropped a lot of cases because the presidency had told him that these cases, drop them, and he dropped them. He himself became a victim of dropping cases, and he was kicked out.
But it was an advice and not like an order, because it's an independent body.
You hear in the media that the head of EFCC has been summoned to the presidency, and then he comes out and he gives an order that we are dropping this case.
So where is the independence of INEC?
That is why we keep saying that the incumbency would always play to the advantage of whoever the ruling party is backing, and in this case is Tinubu.
Well, that's quite interesting, because putting an independent body in the light of like a stooge of the ruling party, it makes it quite a bit incomprehensible, and definitely Nigerians will not be happy about having an election body that takes orders from the presidency, which is also part of the election. And I want to dissociate ourselves from the statements of our guests, because this isn't something that we align with.
That is the harsh reality of Nigerian politics.
Very harsh, and we don't know if it's true or not. However, David, now the person who brought up all this documentary, a lot of people think he has some personal scores against the ruling party. And, well, the issue is, what is his interest in Ahmed Bola Tinubu? Is it that he has a document and he wants to just put it out before it's too late? Is it that he wants to save Nigerians from getting a leader who has a very dirty past? What could be the issue?
I think that firstly, David is just doing his job as a journalist, if I should say, and an investigative one. And anybody who rules Nigeria has a very, very big say in what happens to Nigerians in the diaspora and what happens to Africa as a continent, And David feels like having a so-called drug lord or somebody who has been indicted in drug trafficking ruling your country, it creates a certain perception for Nigerians, not in Nigeria, but Nigerians in the diaspora. So I listened to an interview a panel who was part of today, and basically what he said was that he didn't see why somebody who has been perceived to be part of a certain drug cartel would not want to lead Nigeria. He made an example of Pablo Escobar in Colombia. He made an example of the president from Panama, who was alleged to be a drug trafficker. You know, so that perception from Nigerians in diaspora, he wants to change that. Now, secondly, he has said it several times that he doesn't want an Atiku presidency. He doesn't want a Tinubu presidency. Why? Because these two stalwarts, like they like to describe themselves, have been in Nigeria's politics since 1990.
So he has a case. It means that clearly he doesn't like somebody.
Clearly he doesn't, no, not that he doesn't like somebody, but he feels like these two, Atiku and Tinubu, haven't contributed enough to change the fortunes of Nigerians. Mind you, Atiku has contested the presidency for almost 7 times since 1990. Buhari currently, before he won in 2015, he had contested for about 3 or 4 times. Now, Tinubu has also been in this political space, being a very, very key player. He has he has been in positions where he needed to make certain key decisions that suit the Nigerian people. Unfortunately, they failed, according to him. So he wants to see somebody different. He wants to see a new Nigeria led by a candidate who doesn't have any political string, who is not attached to any political party, who doesn't have any political foundation that is dirty. And that candidate is Peter Obi. He said today again, when he was pushed to the wall, that Peter Obi is his candidate. Peter Obi is his person. Peter Obi might not be the cleanest of politicians, but according to him, Peter Obi is better than Atiku.
Well, how is this objective? And looking at someone who's a journalist who needs to be objective, does this help Nigerians and Nigeria in any way? Let me ask Shaban this.
Okay, so I'll summarize what Baba said.
Yeah.
He being against Atiku and Tinubu simply is because he believes Nigeria deserves better. These people are hawks in Nigeria's politics since the last 3 decades, and they haven't changed much, so they deserve better. How ethical or how fair it is for him to take a stand is basically this. Nigerians believe they're at a juncture where they must move past the 2 main political parties. So even journalists have taken stands openly. Musicians have taken stands. They've declared we are voting Peter Obi. Journalists, actresses, actors, like people generally in society have taken a stand. And I think David Hundeyin is doing exactly that by saying that I have a responsibility to my people to tell them that this is where I stand. If you believe in what I am saying, come, let's go along.
So as a journalist yourself, is that the way to go?
So that's why I said Nigeria has gotten to a juncture where he believes that the journalists must speak out and up. They must not be, these are the facts, decide for yourself. The journalists must say, I've taken a stand. If you want to come along, let's do this. If you don't want to, it's fine. But in any case, I think that he's also seeing the bottle as half empty instead of seeing it as half full. Tinubu's drug past is not in the last 20, 30 years. It's way back. Tinubu's most recent political past has been the revolution he brought in Lagos. It has never been his drag past. His drag past is like going 40 years back. Like when he was young, when he was a young person working in
the early 90s, yes.
Exactly. So, you see, if you want to talk about Tinubu now, the stain you can stain Tinubu with is corruption. That when he was in Lagos, he held Lagos by the scruff of Lagos's neck. And all the major businesses there, he has a percentage in it. So you can use corruption against him. But this drag thing is like way back. A lot of people will not even remember who Tinubu was back then. They'll remember when he became Lagos governor, how he fought Obasanjo and the federal government, how he made Lagos what Lagos is today, how he made Lagos an investment hub, how today Lagos's economy is bigger than Gabon, Gambia combined. It's bigger than Togo, Benin combined. Because Lagos has become a mega city. So it is Tinubu's revolution that brought all this about. So whilst he's talking drugs, the APC is talking what? Who Tinubu has been in the last 30 years. How many people has he brought up? The last 3 Lagos state governors pay allegiance to him. Governors along the southeast pay allegiance to the southwest, pay allegiance to him. And in the north, because he supported Buhari, he has a core base in the north because Buhari would campaign for him. So David is doing something, he's pursuing a cause he believes in, and I like that. but I think that he's chasing shadows, really.
And populism, I'll call it. Because gathering people and getting people who are supporters of Peter Obi, the obedience, you know, putting all these populist ideas out
In their
there,
heads,
and also
and
a
then
lot
getting
of
them
journalists
to
and
vent.
people, you know, being part of this whole allegations and assumptions of populism is what we'll discuss after this break. This is Election Desk on My Nigeria. My name is Ismail Okwe. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back from the break. This is the Election Desk on My Nigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and we are discussing issues surrounding the elections in Nigeria. February 25th, 2023, we are voting in Nigeria. We are voting for a president and also for governors and other elected officials. However, there are so many things going on, and currently one of the main things are violence. Well, there's a lot of violence online. When you go to Twitter, say something against Peter Obi, and you find a huge number of people,
Army
you know,
of obedience.
an army of obedience, as they call themselves, attacking you. And a lot of people have called for some restraint. Obi himself has been called and asked to relax and tell his people to calm down, and that it's an election, it's not a fight, and it's making the environment, the atmosphere, very tense. However, it's still going on, and a lot of people are really wild at getting Peter Obi as president of the republic, and they are doing this based or through their social media following and followers. Our guests are in the studio. Alpha Shaban is a political analyst with Africa Web, and also Babatunde Adeola is also an editor with My Nigeria. Let me start with Alpha Shaban. Now, obedience, you know, it started like play. From nowhere, there were so many marches in several cities, and a lot of people came out without any support from Peter Obi, but they came out and said, no, we need a third force, because APC, PDP, they've done nothing for us over the years. The country is difficult. The whole world is in this global economic crisis thing. Nigeria is no different, and Nigerians are struggling. Many want to leave the country, and Peter Obi looks like the guy for the people, and they think, yeah, we need to fight, and literally fight to get Obi in power, because he is fighting for, you know, frugality, he's fighting for accountability, and also to save some money. Do you think they are in the right direction?
Okay, so social media has been a game changer in this election. It is set to define a lot in this election. But let's also be careful, or let's situate the people who are after Obi, or people who are supporting Obi, in a very specific context. These are not people as in a broad-based group of people. It is predominantly young people who are tech savvy, who are online, who believe with the numbers that they are seeing, it is likely to translate into votes. But that's a different topic for another day. What you see online may not necessarily be what is going to translate on the ground or on the day of voting. So that's the first aspect. Now, is their modus operandi going to necessarily deliver Obi? It is already giving Obi headache. Because Obi has had to issue disclaimers several times that, my people, let's be obedient, let us not stray, let's remain focused, we have a task to deliver, let's not do things that will let people rather move away from us, but people pivoting towards us. So he himself has had that concern. He has been called to call his people to restrain themselves, and he has done that on a number of times. So clearly you can realize that Peter Obi is in a dilemma, because he is not actually in charge of the people who he is even leading, because those people are online, people who maybe have never met him before, but just believe in his cause. What is Peter Obi's cause? Peter Obi's cause is his track record. He was the governor of Anambra State for 8 years, and according to the records, he governed the state well. There are pieces of controversy around him, but it is believed that his lifestyle projects someone who is very, like you said, frugal, someone who likes to save rather than spend, so that he travels alone, he carries his bag alone. He's not a typical Nigerian governor. The governor will have aides and security people all over him with earpieces and all that, like as if he's a president. But he doesn't do that. If you see him traveling, he's with his bag, he's pulling it along himself. So people have seen him in that light, and they believe that when he gets to the seat of the presidency, he can translate that. I'm sure he can't, but they believe he can make a better arrangement than what they currently have. So that is what they are doing. But whether or not that noise or that buzz can translate to vote on the ground is a different ballgame, because people keep saying that Labour Party has a vibe, but they don't have structures. If you go to maybe Katsina State somewhere in the north, you're not going to find any Labour Party person there. But you find APC, you find PDP. So people are saying that politics is local. What happens on the ground is what we're talking about. Social media is not a constituency. Nobody's going to vote on social media. So the day of election is what would let everybody's eye clear. Then everybody will know that, oh, okay, this is really what we are after, or this is not what we are after. And if I may add, and I'm sure Baba will take it from there, a recent repost against Peter Obi came from a very close ally, the current governor of Anambra. And he has given it obedience, like very hardly, because he said something about Peter Obi and they came at him. And he has replied. And he's actually a former central bank governor. Yes. And he's also a professor. So you can imagine, he wrote a very long treatise. And then he was given to them. So you can imagine, people in society are already tired of the kind of vile and bile that they are throwing out. So it's affecting Obi. But whether to translate to vote, I doubt, personally. I don't think it will work.
Well, so many others are also saying that the supporters of Obi, they can throw punches, but they don't know how to receive them. And most of the time, you see them going all over and all out, fighting people who say anything against Obi. And currently, the Anambra governor saying that the Labour Party has no chance, and that they are rather supporting. I think he says they are rather supporting Tinubu. I think. Or is that Atiku?
No.
I think he said Tinubu, they are supporting him rather, because with Obi, they are taking the votes away from Atiku, which he can use to win over Tinubu. Do you think, indeed, Obi has a chance with these kind of people out there? Because history has showed, or even statistics has showed that there's a lot of young people in Nigeria. The young people are way more, those below the age of 25 are more than 50% in Nigeria, and also these people are the population that's supporting Peter Obi. But would they come out to vote? Now these are the questions that a lot of people have in their minds, including Peter Obi himself.
Yes, I think I agree with you. And Nigeria's politics has gotten to a very, very critical crossroad where electorates and millennials, the oldies, are confused as to what they really want to do. And Peter Obi has brought in a spark of life into what we would usually know. Throughout the years, Nigeria's politics is about PDP, APC, or PDP, ACN, CPP. Two parties who are gunning for the main prize. However, Peter Obi's emergence from the PDP, where he defected to the Labour Party, has brought a different bite to what we typically know. Now, what makes it more interesting is the fact that he has an army of supporters behind him, mostly on social media. Now, these are people between the ages of 35 and 18. And mind you, like I said, Nigeria's major population is within this age range. Now, the fear is that these guys are on social media. Fine, they can say all they want to say. They can be aggressive all they want. They can do all they can. They can be your propagandists all they want to. But again, on the day of election, will they come out? Another fear about Peter Obi and his chances is about his structure. Now, this is somebody who was in the PDP up until, days before the presidential primaries of the PDP. He was there. The PDP has a structure. Like Shaban said, if you go to Katsina, PDP is there. If you go to a village in Oshogbo or Ogumosho or Oka, or if you go to Nasarawa, we have PDP structures there. What is the structure? They have constituents, they have governors, they have House of Representatives, they have ministers, senators. They have senators. APC has that, PDP has that. ABGA, Charles Soludo of ABGA, they have that in Anambra. At least they have a governor. That is a structure. In as much as they don't have a governor out of Anambra, they have a governor at least. And that is the structure you need to win an election in Nigeria. Does Peter Obi have that? Does the Labour Party have that? No.
But it looks like he's breaking that structure of PDP because he has a following in PDP and some of them moved. And
So-
now he has embraced the young people too.
You know, Peter Obi's presence in this particular election is revolutionary. He's changing a lot of things, but will he win this particular poll in February? I heavily doubt it. His chances are probably 2/10. I doubt it. Again, like I said, the structure is not there. You might have the following on social media, but the fear is, will this your obedience come out to vote on that day? IPOB struggle is still there. IPOB saying they are not going to support Peter Obi because they believe he's still going to do what a typical Nigerian president would do. All they want is that they want a Nigerian president who will guarantee them their way out. That's what IPOB wants. Will Peter Obi guarantee them their way out? No. Or will he promise them to give them their way out? He won't do that. Now, does Peter Obi have the structure in the southeast? Maybe. At least he has a number. Does he have the structure in the southwest? That's like next to nothing because now it's dominated by PDP or APC. In the north, his running mate might decide to pull could pull a few votes, but I don't think that's actually okay for him to win a presidency. So we are looking at the statistics and looking at what we all know as Nigeria's politics or the road to Ashurok in Nigeria's politics. It doesn't happen. Anything can happen though.
Well, we have 3 months to know if indeed he can pull those numbers that he wants.
That would be a big surprise.
However, INEC has spoken. You want to speak about that?
About the young people, I just want us to also take notice of the fact that there's no monolithic block of young people backing Obi. There are youth groups in APC and PDP. So at best, Peter Obi has a group of young people who believe in his cause. But then let's also realize that he doesn't have all young people or majority of them. You can't even say majority of them because the other parties have youth groups that also have massive following. So even there, Peter Obi has a bit of a deficiency, or he has a struggle. You know, so yes, like he said, I think Peter Obi will have a lot of work to do if he really wants to capitalize on what is going on now. But as to whether to translate to vote, well, that's for February 20.
Yes, and also the violence. You know, INEC has spoken against it, but now the problem is with Peter Obi having all these support. Yes, there are some known faces. There are so many people in entertainment, so many people in other places, but the core of the people, they are faceless and they are online. You know? But when they go out there to march in the streets, you see so many people out there in the streets. But now, are they all, registered to vote? Can they do that? If there's any violence, and those perpetuating the violence are holding the flag of the Labour Party, definitely Peter Obi will be accused of leading his supporters to perpetuate that violence. So he's been out there to tell them to calm down. Elections is sportsmanship, it's democracy, everybody has a say. But do you think he may also lose even further? His case may be worse with all these teeming young people who are out there, you know, clashing and having all these fights.
Oh, well, as it stands now, it hasn't been physical. It's been online. Predominantly, it's been online.
There's been some few physical issues in some states, which INEC has addressed. That some states have had some issues.
With, especially with Labour Party.
So it's general. But in this case, they see more of the young people screaming Obi. And it looks like it's Obi supporters. But you can't really say who they are.
Okay, so basically, if any party begins to exhibit signs of aggression, it's problematic. Because for Nigeria, that is a multi-ethnic, multicultural society. It doesn't bode well. Because if you hear Igbos touch Yorubas in one place, or potentially all Yorubas at the other side will be endangered, and all Igbos at the other side will be endangered, and you have to switch places immediately. So potentially it's problematic. Nigeria is a melting pot. It's very, very dicey. You can't predict. So it's a concern. But Nigeria's security situation is already bad. So they don't even need anybody to complicate it. And if you remember, in 2019, Buhari postponed the election 24 hours to, right? He had calls to tell them that we are pushing this election 24 hours to, when they had done everything. So you can imagine how the security architecture is. It's very, very frail. Anything little, it will break. So as it stands now, Peter Obi, the only thing he can do, again, is to appeal to his people, because he doesn't know most of them. Most of them are faceless. Those who are even taking the campaign to the grounds are overwhelmed. because there's so much work to be done. They thought it was easy, but you are in a country where you have how many old people? Buhari won with how many? 50 million. Atiku had the same thing. So you can imagine you are gunning for 30-40 million votes. That's a lot. And this is not the main, it's not the total population. This is just those who voted, valid vote cast. So you can imagine how many people you have to deal with. So it's overwhelming. So P2B himself might suffer a burnout if all of these things continue happening. He burst out at a presidential
organized presidential rally.
How do you call it? Presidential debate. He burst out one of these days. I'm sure it's part of all this thing about going up and up. Toby has traveled than any other person. He's been around the world, literally. He's been in country. So P2B has a responsibility to convince people, but also convince more than anything his core base.
Could this burnout be what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is facing? Reason why we withdrew from taking part in presidential debate. We'll discuss that after this break. This is Election Desk on My Nigeria. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is the Election Desk on My Nigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe. We are discussing the major issues surrounding the Nigeria elections, which is coming up on February 25th, 2023. Will be part of the action. So you watch us on My Nigeria TV on YouTube, and also follow all the updates on www.mynigeria.com. Now we are discussing some of the issues, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he says he's done with presidential debates and you can't force him to have it. Now Femi Kayode, who is his spokesperson, spoke about it and gave some reasons. He wrote, I think on Twitter, that you know very well that Tinubu is has been engaging in debates and town hall meetings. He did one in Minna, one in Nasarawa, and one in Lagos. These are discussions that had television cameras and crews. He's very good at that and would like to do that. Now there's a difference between a town hall meeting, which is televised with a number of presidential aspirants or candidates there, and a presidential debate. A debate is a debate, and you have been doing that for years. We know what we know what a debate is, but we have not had any debate yet. What we have are town hall meetings with various presidential candidates. Some of the programs organized have not gone too well. Look at the one organized by Arise TV, where PDP thugs and Peter Obi and his obedience were shouting. This does not encourage us to go to places like Arise, for example. Tinubu will have to make that choice himself at any point in time, and is the kind of person he is. That decision has to be left to him. We never say never to anything, but at the same time, if and when he's ready, it is to be on his own terms, and when he's ready, and when he feels like the atmosphere is good. Now this coming from Femi Kayode, who posted this. Femi Fani Kayode, and could this be cowardice? Because he's saying clearly that he's not seen a debate. He's seen a town hall meeting, but they're being invited for debates, and people are screaming. You know, supporters are screaming, so he doesn't want to engage in that until he's ready. Could this be cowardice? Him moving backwards, him not being able to answer the questions, not trying to show weakness in terms of, you know, the energy that he has. He's a 70-year-old man, for God's sake.
Oh, yeah, 70 plus, but you could say. Well, I saw the interview today, and I think that the strategy that is being employed by the APC might affect the candidate. So Tinubu, we know, is loud. He likes to speak. He likes to engage the media. He likes to speak to issues and debate issues. That's the young Tinubu we know. Now, lately, since for the past 2-3 years, he's been going to the UK for medical checkup. The last time he was in the UK, he spent about 4 months there. I think he was treating his knee. So obviously, even if they don't like to say, but the presidential candidate is not in the best of health. Now, to why he doesn't attend these political debates, number one, it could be probably due to his frail health. Number two, it could probably be because he's not too comfortable with the heckler, because for the past 2 years again, Nigerians have called on him to stand down. I remember when the primary started, there were certain viral videos of him messing up himself when he went for an engagement. There are viral videos of him sleeping at certain engagements. Now, this tells you that his body is weak.
Are you talking about the fake ones?
No, these are actual.
Because so many others also came up and they were actually deep fakes.
No, these are actual videos.
Okay.
These are actual videos of him staining himself. These are actual videos of him sleeping at engagements. So his health is a concern. And Nigerians...
But that's not what Femi was saying.
I'll get there. Nigerians over the past years in the Buhari presidency have not been comfortable with a leader who has ought to travel, for medical checkups. Buhari the last time spent about a year in London treating himself. So the health.
The most recent time, I think he did a few weeks.
A few weeks he went again.
Yeah.
So that concern about the health of the Nigerian president is there. Now, what is the APC hiding? Are they hiding the fact that he's not healthy, or are they hiding the fact that he doesn't know how to debate the issues, or are they protecting Tinubu from what Nigerians will say? Mind you, he made mention of the Arise TV, the Arise TV town hall, and it was terrible because if Tinubu were there, I wouldn't want to imagine what would have happened, because the obedience were actually very, very aggressive. His absence alone put them off. Tinubu wasn't there. Atiku wasn't there. Shettima represented Tinubu. Shettima is much more healthy, or stronger, or younger, if I should say. Tinubu, Atiku, due to certain engagement, wasn't present. His vice was there. Fanny Okowa was there. Peter Obi was there as well. So for FFK, who interestingly had said in the past that Tinubu would never be president, and he now supporting the same man, I believe the APC are protecting Tinubu from something we Nigerians don't know. But the lines are ticking to the fact that Tinubu is no more healthy. Tinubu is weak due to age, and the controversies surrounding him are quite terrible, that exposing him to media might ridicule him. And the conversation is still there, and I mean, as FFK said, he wants to choose his battle. He wants to be comfortable. If indeed I'm going to go for this engagement or this debate or this town hall, he has to be on my terms. What are his terms? FFK will have to tell us that.
That's quite interesting. And as you're talking about age, Atiku is 76 and Tinubu is 71. Even though there is also another confusion around the age of Tinubu, because they claim that he doesn't know when he was born. And these are some of the things that really you hear when it comes to elections, where like the YX situation of Buhari it keeps happening. But how do you see Femi Fani-Kayode's statement? Do you think it really gave out what Tinubu should have said?
So if I had the first bite, I would have taken it from where you ended. Was it cowardice? That's just what it is. Why is it so? It's so because look at Tinubu's engagement since the last few months. It has been monologues with people coming to praise sing. Nothing more, nothing less. Tinubu has hardly had journalists posing questions to him. Tinubu goes for a town hall meeting where he addresses the people. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And then the media carries it hook, line, and sinker. That's what he does. Tinubu has not subjected himself to any critical questioning since he began his campaigning. Even through his bid for the APC ticket, he did not go through any rigorous interview process. So this is a man who, one, he lacks the capacity. If he meets, if he meets people like Ifeanyi Okowa, if he meets people like Atiku, the robust conversation that is going to go on, he cannot match up with even the pace of the speaking, because he speaks much slower as compared to the rest of them. So his speech would naturally drag as compared to those who are speaking. So one, capacity-wise, he's not healthy. He's not like as healthy as you expect. That's why he has to ride a bicycle. He has to ride a treadmill, a 6-minute treadmill, for everybody to be happy that, yeah, our president is in shape. Meanwhile, we know that he has been working bent in a certain... Bottom line, Tinubu is not fit. If he's 71, Atiku is 76, for crying out loud. So the point is that the APC is comfortable with drawing their own terms and then bringing their own marking scheme and then marking whatever they want. So they tell them, we are not going to allow him to go here, I'm not going to allow him to go here. So what they do is that they push Shetima to go at a point. He goes, and then when they don't like even anything to happen, they just say that we have boycotted it. So that is typically what the APC is doing.
But the heckling, do you support the heckling and the ridicule that comes from the obedience?
No, the truth is that Nigerians want to avoid a situation where our next president, most of the time, spends time in the hospital. And I remember the situation where Buhari was in the UK. It affected Nigeria because obviously there was no leader to lead. So that was more. Yes, it did. And now Nigerians.
Are you saying Osinbajo didn't have any role in that instance? Because he played a good role and people were happy about it.
No, he did. But Osinbajo is not your typical politician.
You see, where I want to.
Osinbajo assumed the role as of vice president based on what's recommendation from Tinubu, and Tinubu just calling him from.
So you mean it's not fit to be a vice president?
Please. What I'm saying is that Osinbajo is not a typical politician. Fine, he has the power of vice presidency, but there's a cabal in Abuja within Aso Rock that respects only one man.
Which man is that?
The president.
Of course, the president is supposed to be in that position.
So the cabal is powerful than Buhari himself.
Shaban.
That's a fact. Now, Aisha was fighting them.
This cabal respects the president. The president takes certain decisions. The cabal even challenges the president. Now you have the president who is not even there.
Are you talking about APC leadership as who are you referring to as the cabal?
Well,
okay. So let me just go back a little. You see, Nigeria had a situation where Goodluck Jonathan, Yar'Adua got sick, was in Saudi Arabia, hadn't transferred presidential powers to Jonathan. So hawks came to take the power. So Nigeria amended their constitution to say that before a president leaves, he must write to the National Assembly and transfer presidential powers before he leaves, so that if he's incapacitated outside, the vice president can still act because of what happened between Yar'Adua and Goodluck Jonathan. So whenever Buhari is leaving, he transmits a letter officially to the National Assembly telling them, I am going. I have transferred presidential powers to Osinbajo. Two things Osinbajo did that shows that he took presidential power. He fired the spy chief when dollars were found in the Lagos estate, and the spy chief was found to be there. He disbanded SARS. SARS is one of the biggest things, and SARS is the biggest thing. And SARS is part of why Obi is who he is today, because the youth bulge just followed him. So Osinbajo took those two critical decisions. To fire a spy chief in a country is no joke. It's like to fire a national security chief. He's a spy. He's the head of SSS or DSS, whatever they call them.
Is that Bakari or?
No, not Abakari. Abakari was a chief of staff who died from COVID. But he fired another Mamman something. Yes, but he fired that guy who was a very powerful guy at the time. He fired him in Buhari's absence. He disbanded NSAS in Buhari's absence. This is someone who took presidential authority and acted on it. So why are we saying that he's not a typical politician? I think he exercises presidential powers. So whether Buhari is there or Buhari is not there, I think that someone was there to act, even if there was a cabal. And I think Osinbajo, in those two instances, I think he showed that he was capable of taking the wheels if Buhari was not available. So what I think is that we should all agree that Nigeria needs a president. You cannot tell when a president will fall sick. If Buhari is sick, he goes for his medical checkups. He comes back. He went for 9 months. One of the years in his first time, 9 months, Buhari was away, but the country ran, nothing happened. So I think that yes, Nigerians don't want, no country wants a sick president. Every country wants their president to be present, but in this case, Tinubu is sick. That's a fact. I think that he's not totally fit, but Nigeria has to make do with who the people elect, because it's a democracy. If the people elect Tinubu, you can't do anything about it. The state will take care of his ill health and everything. But for all you know, Tinubu is better than Buhari because Tinubu comes with his own money anyway. Tinubu takes care of himself. Buhari was being taken care of by the state.
So on this note, is Nigeria ready for the elections in February?
Oh, Nigeria! I think Nigeria is ready for the elections.
It's ready.
Yes.
What about you?
I think we should be directing this question to INEC. because they are basically going to conduct the whole election process. But I think that with
so I'm talking about the mental, you know,
The
or the psyche or the state of the country and how people are
3 months to
behaving for all the
Oh,
issues that are going
I
on.
think that Nigerians are actually ready for
Yeah.
election today.
If election was held today,
Nigerians will be ready because Nigerians are tired. Inflation is high. The security challenges are just rife. A lot is happening in Nigeria that people are frustrated.
They just want to see Buhari is
They
back.
want to see-
Buhari should just go.
They want a new president.
That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Buhari should just go.
Buhari should go.
That's
So
what they need.
that is the election desk on My Nigeria. This is the first edition. We're bringing you more of this weekly. You watch us on YouTube, My Nigeria, and also on mynigeria.com. My name is Ismail Akwe. Our guest, Alpha Shaban, is a political analyst, and also Babatunde Adeola is also an editor with My Nigeria. We'll come back with more information, more analysis on the topical issues around the elections. This is the election desk. See you soon.